And we're back. But before we left Guadeloupe, we headed down to St. Francois, which is on the far east side of the country. It's an area that's far more popular for residents of Guadeloupe than it is for cruisers, mostly because of its location that puts it kind of out of the way for most cruisers. When we got there, we obviously anchored, and I decided to dive the anchorage the next morning to see just how shallow it was. And it turns out it was the shallowest anchorage we'd ever been in. That you're looking at is probably about 5 or 6 inches below our keel. That's a pretty darn shallow anchorage. But because the bottom was all grass and sand and the tide there was negligible, we didn't worry about it, and we went horseback riding. The horseback riding in Guadeloupe was fantastic. We even got a chance to ride horses on the beach, which was something I'd always wanted to do, and was really fun. The next day we went to leave St. Francois and got out of the harbor only to discover that our hydraulic steering had failed. So it took us the better part of the afternoon to fix that, and we decided to stay another day. That turned out to be a happy coincidence because we ended up going to play in the reefs that border the anchorage and protect it from the larger swells of the sea. The water in this spot is ridiculously clear, like crystal clear pool water. So we spent the afternoon hanging out there and just swimming. The next day, having fixed our hydraulic steering, we finally got underway for a spectacular sail southeast toward the Saints. The winds were perfect, the waves were perfect. We even got to fly our big blue Jenniker and made fantastic speed as we headed towards this little collection of islands on the edge of Guadeloupe. And as you can see, I had plenty of help from my crew. The trip down to the Saints was about 6 hours of sailing, and easily one of the nicest sails we've had in weeks. When we arrived in the Saints, we rendezvoused with another family on a boat called Zen that we'd been corresponding with online. We regularly do this to make sure, among other things, that Chloe has an opportunity to meet other kids and have fun. It was this time that we met another Danish boat called Impossible, as well as a UK couple, Nigel and Joe, on their boat, Witchcraft. Each of the boats had intriguing people who had all crossed the Atlantic to come cruise the Caribbean, and most of them had kids. So, both together and separately, we all explored the charming island of Terre de Haute.
Now I'm ready. 2, 1. Nice! Woohoo! Well done! Well done!
Happily, we all were heading the same direction and eventually ended up in Dominica, where we had a lot of fun exploring this volcanic island.
The big one?
I guess so, yeah.
No problem, I'll show you.
Okay.
And then you put the ladies.
Okay.
So you pass under. Want me to get the record for you?
No, I'll bring it with me.
Good, no problem. And then you walk on this step right there?
Walk on the step here.
Yeah.
Okay. And you jump right in the center.
Yeah. Hold them up over you.
Hold that?
Yeah. Put them up here. Let's get them over you.
Like so?
Like this, yeah.
Okay.
Ready? 1,
1, 2, 3.
This place is called the Gorge, where you can swim upstream to a waterfall through these rock formations that are so incredible they don't look natural, but they are. They're dripping with moss and vines and are so scenic that they were actually included in the second of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie franchise.
Oh, this was kind of terrifying. I'm really glad we got the life jacket. Yeah.
You're really glad what?
We got the life jacket.
These two waterfalls are the Trafalgar Falls. One is hot and one is cold, and they come together in this valley and produce one of the most scenic waterfalls I've ever seen.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Here you go.
It was really fun seeing how awe-inspired Chloe was by these magnificent falls. But after a long day, it was also fun to treat ourselves to some time in the natural hot springs. Being a volcanic island, Dominica has an abundance of natural hot springs, each seemingly more beautiful than the next. You pay to get into them and the water looks a little murky, but that super warm water is perfect to just sit in and melt the day away.
Very hot.
I just had to like walk. Is this the mud bath of youth?
This is the mud bath of youth. I used to be 80,
Oh, good.
and now look at me,
Wow.
79.
You look so good. You look the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. Yes, we are going up there.
The next day, feeling refreshed and full of energy, we took a hike with the kids from Zen through the Cabrits National Park. One of the highlights of Cabrits is it's got an old fort that overlooks the harbor. It's been fully restored and provides a great playground for the kids to play on the cannons and to climb the walls.
We'll just have to leave you. Can you see Moksha?
Yeah, I did down there. What are those?
Papaya.
Further up the mountain in Cabrits National Park, there's other parts of the fort that haven't been restored, but that you can walk through. This old section was an armory, and it literally still has piles and piles of small cannonballs that were used to defend the fort. Our next adventure was to go to Middleham Falls. It is the largest waterfall in Dominica and requires a hike that's about an hour long through some pretty treacherous jungle. But I think you'll agree, it's worth it. Eventually, our time in Dominica had to come to an end, and we had to head further south to Martinique. We'll catch up with you then.